Prosecutor, you want to call your next witness?
Thank you, Judge. The state calls Keith Weinstein.
Okay. Juror number 15 and 16, just a reminder. Juror number 15 and 16, just a reminder, if you can't hear, you got to let me know. Just raise your hand, all right? I'm not staring at you for any other reason. I just want to make sure you're good, okay? Sir, can you put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Once you're comfortable, can you state your full name for the record? And, yep. Once you're comfortable, state your full name for the record and spell your last name, please.
Stephen Weinstein, Weinstein.
All right. Thank you, sir. Prosecutor?
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Mr. Weinstein.
Good morning.
Where are you employed?
In Teaneck, New Jersey.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a CPA
A CPA? How long have you done that for?
for over 40 years.
Can you just tell us what your formal education is?
I got a bachelor's in business from George Washington University, a master's in taxation from Pace University, and then my CPA.
Now, were you familiar with the Caneiro family?
Yes, I was.
Generally speaking, how were you familiar with them?
Probably in the early to mid-'80s, I met the uncle, Joe Caneiro, who had a small business in Brooklyn. From him, I met his brother, Caesar Caneiro, who was the father of Paul, Keith, and Corey, and I got to know them through the uncle.
What type of a relationship did you have with them in terms of, was it business, personal, or something
It
else?
was business. I mean, occasionally I was invited to some holiday parties, I was invited to Keith's wedding, but overall it was business.
And what type of work, in a general sense, did you do for them?
Well, I was the accountant. In the earlier years, I helped them get going. They had a little space in Brooklyn that his uncle provided for them. I would see them more than once a month, but then as the years went by, they had a bookkeeping staff or whatever. In more recent years, it was pretty much like once a month I'd come in. They had their internal accounting system. I'd review the books, reconciliations, assist with filing of sales taxes, review the payroll taxes. That's what I would do.
Okay, so let me just ask you to clarify specifically, did you know Keith Caneiro?
Yes, I did.
And how about Paul Caneiro? Did you know him?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the origin of your employment with them?
Well, again, through the uncle, I met them, and they were remarkable. They started out in Brooklyn. I believe they worked for a company that did marketing for small businesses called The Marketeer. They did the computerization for them, and then through that, I think there was a young lady who Keith was pretty friendly with. I do not remember her name. They worked for Citibank, and through that, Keith and Paul did work at Citibank, and then from there they went to Republic Bank, and then one of their larger companies at one time was Ogilvy and Mather, if I pronounce it right.
And you may have said it, but what was the nature of the work that you say Keith and Paul did?
Computers, consulting. Pretty much.
Computer consulting?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did they have any businesses together?
Yes, so the first company was called, at the time, J. Martin Consulting, Inc., which later they had a DBA called Square One, where they rendered these computer consulting services.
Okay. And when that company started out, where was that physically located?
In Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn. Okay. Did it ever move anywhere else?
Yes, so from there, as they expanded, at one point they were looking to move in Staten Island, but they ended up moving out to Woodbridge, New Jersey. And then from there, they moved to Homedale, and then from there, they moved to Asbury Park.
Okay. Was there a company called Square One?
That was J. Martin Consulting. The DBA was Square One.
Now, did they own any other businesses together?
Yes, so then when they moved to New Jersey, at the time, it was profitable to sell computer equipment, so they opened up another company called J. Martin Systems, Inc., and they sold equipment, and that was set up. And then as that started, selling equipment wasn't as profitable, they basically just merged it into J. Martin Consulting or Square One, and they would sell equipment basically to the clients that they consulted for. Pretty much that was it. And then later on, a friend of Keith had a company called, I don't remember the name, I think it was EchoStar, but it was a pest control company out of Queens or Long Island. I think it was Queens. And he would often ask them, Keith and Paul, for guidance, and then eventually they formed the company together. So at the end, there was two companies. There was Square One and EchoStar.
And by around the time of, we'll talk about 2017, where specifically were those businesses located?
In Asbury Park.
Okay. Now, did your work for them as an accountant, did that include both businesses?
Yes.
Okay. And did you ever do any work for them more personally in terms of accounting?
Yeah, for the whole family, basically, from the uncle on, I would do their personal tax returns, and for Keith and Paul, I would do their returns, and sometimes for their daughters, and also for their father.
Do you recall who did the bookkeeping for the businesses?
Well, it was various bookkeepers over the years, but in the last number of years, there was Larissa who was there, and then she left, and it was Tiffany Rivera.
Were you familiar with an individual named Ronald Artigas?
Yes, I was.
Who was he?
He was an outside insurance advisor.
Now, of the two businesses, Square One and EcoStar, was there one business that generated a greater profit?
It was Square One, yes.
Before we go any further, let me just ask you, about how long had you known Mr. Caneiro for? And I'm referring to Paul Caneiro.
Probably maybe the late 80s, just like 40 years, could be 35 to 40 years.
Do you see him in the courtroom?
Yes.
Can you please point him out?
Identifies the defendant.
Sir, to your knowledge, what role did each of the brothers play in terms of the day-to-day operations of each business?
Well, over the years, it changed, but for many years, Paul was out, like with Ogilvy and Mather, he was out doing a lot of work there, traveling the world, I guess, my understanding, and Keith was handling internally. But then as the years progressed, it became more of Paul handling the operations and Keith outside of the office.
When you say Keith was outside of the office, what specifically do you mean by that?
He was working from home, or wherever he was, but he was working from home, from my knowledge.
Did you know why?
No, he worked from home.
Now, during that time, were you familiar with whether or not Keith had gone back to school for anything?
Yes, he did. He wanted to get his degree and to become much more marketable.
And do you recall approximately what time frame that was?
I can't, but it was definitely in the years that they were in Asbury Park and probably Homedale, I would say. Those years, I don't really know the actual years.
I want to talk a little bit about the businesses. Do you know whether Paul Caneiro and his family received any income through the businesses?
Yeah, they had payroll. As Keith's family, they had payroll, health insurance benefits, retirement plan, auto reimbursements, and stuff like that.
Now, to your knowledge, what if any other sources of income did Mr. Caneiro, Paul Caneiro, receive?
Well, outside of the company, eventually he was receiving disability.
Okay. When you say disability, do you know what he was collecting from, what policies?
Yeah, first it was Social Security, I believe, and then Sun Life,
What is Sun Life?
the insurance company. So
Okay. Was that a group policy, an individual, or something?
no, it was an individual policy.
Now, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you indicated that you had prepared some tax returns for the brothers and their families.
Yes.
Did you specifically prepare any taxes for the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with any debt that he may have owed to the IRS in the time frame of 2017 and 2018?
At a certain point, I believe he fell behind. I think that the disability wasn't being covered with withholdings, and then he went out and he worked out an arrangement with the IRS.
Do you know approximately how much that debt was?
I think, if I recollect, it was around $80,000.
And when you say he worked out an arrangement with the IRS, what are you referring to?
They would give you an installment plan to pay it off.
Now, do you recall where the employees of the businesses held their 401k accounts?
Paychecks, payroll service, they had a 401k department, retirement department.
Now, were you privy to any loans or premature disbursements that Paul Caneiro took from his 401k?
In this 401k plan, you're allowed to borrow against your retirement. So, yes, they had loans against the retirement plan.
And do you recall about what year that was?
I don't know for sure.
Now, you indicated that Square One generated the greater profit of the two businesses.
Yes.
How many clients did Square One have by the time frame of 2017, 2018?
It had dwindled quite a bit. The major client at the time was the Duke Foundation, and then some smaller clients other than that.
approximately how much of Square One's revenue came from the Doris Duke Charitable Foundation?
Over 90% or more.
Now, I want to draw your attention to November 14th of 2018. Do you recall whether or not you spoke with Keith that day?
Yes, we did.
And do you recall how you spoke with him?
Well, I mean, we often would speak by phone, sometimes email as well.
Do you recall speaking with him on the phone that day?
Yes.
As a result of that conversation, what, if anything, did you receive from Keith on November 14th?
I believe I received a resume, if it was the right date, because he felt like things were not going as well as he thought, and he asked me if I knew of anybody else he could maybe do computer consulting for.
And as a result of that question that he asked you, what, if anything, did you do with his resume?
I sent it to a client.
Now, during that conversation on November 14th of 2018, what, if any, conversations, or let me ask you this, because I don't want you to tell me anything anyone said, because that's hearsay, but just, did you speak about EcoStar with Keith?
Yeah, it was interesting. There was a large company that was interested in buying EcoStar. So we were talking about that.
So as a result of the conversation that you had with Keith on November 14th, who did you reach out to?
Well, I know I spoke with Paul and Keith, and I know Paul was putting a lot of numbers together on the activity of the company to put together the facts that the company would need to buy, to work out the sale price.
Do you know whether there was a potential buyer for EcoStar?
There was.
Okay, and did you reach out to that potential buyer on the 14th?
I was asked to reach out, yes.
Okay. Do you recall whether you received anything from that buyer?
I don't remember the exact person, but I do remember there was conversations on what at the purchase price they were willing to pay, which was about $850,000.
So essentially, was that an offer that they were
That
making?
was basically an offer.
What, do you recall the name of the company that was making that offer?
I believe it was Terminix.
How did you receive that offer from Terminex?
I don't remember, but a lot of times we did things over the phone, so I don't remember if I received an email. I might have.
As a result of receiving that offer, did you send any emails to Keith and Paul on November 14th?
Yes, about the offer, sure. Yes.
Judge, may I approach?
Okay.
I'm showing, I'm going to mark S10 for identification. I'm showing you what's been marked as S10. Do you recognize that?
To some extent. I mean,
Is that an email?
this would have been an email, yeah.
Okay. And do you see the date of this email?
11/15, right.
Okay.
You need to speak up, sir.
Yes, I'm sorry. 11/15/2018.
Okay. And who is that email between?
From me to Keith and Paul.
And what is it? What is the content of the email?
Basically, I was saying to them that this was a tremendous offer, and that they should work towards that. And then I was going to calculate the tax consequences, but I said we should start the process.
Okay. And I'm going to turn to the second page of S10 here. What was the responses from each of the brothers?
Okay.
And it's actually going to start the way it.
Hold at the bottom.
Yeah. Let's start here. And then,
Ms. Wallace, can you do me a favor, just for record purposes, when we're talking about S10, can we talk about the number of pages it is and
Yes,
where
sir.
you're referring to so that the record's clear?
yes.
Thank you.
S10 is 4 pages, is that correct, sir?
Yes.
I'm going to start at the 4th page. Do you see how the email sort of
Yeah.
starts down there and then moves
Okay.
backwards? If you can read that for us.
Okay, so after that, Keith said, let's do it, questioning Paul, I guess, to move forward. They said $850.
Who says that they said 850?
Paul to Keith and me, and then, it's a little confusing, but I remember going back and forth with the 850. And then Paul said, thank you. And I asked, do you want me to respond or not?
Okay, so just to clarify, you relayed the offer to them?
Yes.
Okay, and then Keith said, let's do it? And what was Paul's response?
I don't remember the exact response.
I'm going to show you, I'm going to direct your attention. Okay, do you see on page 3 here?
Yes.
Where it says 11/15/18?
Yes.
And it says that it's from Keith Caneiro, you see
Yeah.
that?
He said agreed, and then
He said-
let's do it, and he questioned Paul.
Okay, so specifically he said Paul, question mark?
What do you think? Right.
And then I'm going to ask you to read on the next page over, it's going to be page 2. Do you see where it says 11/15/18,
Yes,
10:57 p.m.? What was Paul's response here?
They said 850,000.
Okay, and then what was your response?
I will respond that it was 850 and wait for their response.
Okay,
We were going back and forth, right?
sure. And what did Paul say?
Thanks.
Okay, and then did you respond again some point at about 11:01 p.m.?
I said, do you guys want me to respond or not? I wanted to be sure I should go back and forth with them.
Okay. And did you ever receive a response from them?
I don't remember, but, well, there was a response. I think Paul wanted to hold off because he felt we could do better than the 850.
Mr. Weinstein, during the course of your employment with the Caneiros, did any of your work for them relate to something called an irrevocable life insurance trust?
Yes.
What was your understanding of that trust as it relates to the work that you performed?
Okay, so that was set up, I guess, in the late 90s, early 2000s, if I remember. It was life insurance was put into an irrevocable trust, so the life insurance proceeds upon the deceased would not go into the estate and could be used, let's say, for estate taxes or whatever was needed. So when that was set up, a bank account was also set up at the time for the monies to be put into the bank account to then pay the quarterly premiums. And my work involved in this was putting together numbers because when the monies are transferred, whether it's from payroll or actual checks from Keith Caneiro, that's considered a gift to the trust. And at the end of the year, I would determine if a gift tax return would have to be prepared based on the amounts of money that would go into the trust to pay the premiums.
Okay, so just a couple of things. So you indicated that that trust was created in the 90s?
Late 90s, early 2000s. I believe late 90s.
Okay, and just for purposes of clarification, just have you, as in your role as an accountant, have you dealt with irrevocable life insurance trusts
Yes.
before with other clients? Okay. Approximately how many?
Oh, a number, I mean, 10, 20, something.
Okay. So you indicated that there was a bank account set up at TD Bank?
Yes,
Okay, and that was to pay what?
to pay the life insurance premiums.
Okay, and what was the life insurance company, if you recall?
Canada Life.
How was that TD Bank account funded?
Through payroll from Keith.
Okay.
But there were times over the years where it wasn't from that, it was actual checks that were paid.
Now, in about 2017 and 2018, well, let me ask you this. Let me strike that. The irrevocable life insurance trust, were you aware of any trustee that was involved with that?
Yes.
And who was that?
That was Paul Caneiro.
Okay. And what was your understanding, based upon the work that you did for that trust, what was your understanding of Paul Caneiro's role?
To basically he was in charge of the trust, the monies going in and the monies that would be paid to the insurance company.
Do you remember how often the premiums were due?
Quarterly.
Quarterly? You indicated that you would prepare the yearly or the annual gift tax returns.
Yes.
When you did that, what, if any, paperwork did you have to review?
I needed the bank statements. That's what I needed.
The bank statements from the TD Trust
The
checking
TD
account?
bank account, right.
Okay. How would you get those bank statements?
In the much earlier years, I would when I went to the client, when I went to square one, they would be doing a file for me. As the years went by, they weren't, and then I would have to request them from Paul.
Okay, so let's talk about the time frame from 2017 to 2018, those years. How would you get the bank statements then?
I would request them by email from Paul.
And would you receive those bank statements from him?
Yes,
And how would you receive them?
he would email them to me.
Do you know whether or not Keith Caneiro had access to that TD checking account?
I don't believe he did, because he wasn't the trustee.
Did you ever get the bank statements from Keith during those years?
No, never got them from Keith.
Was there something on the Keith Caneiro's life insurance policy called an automatic premium loan provision?
Yes, so when they would fall behind on a premium payment, the life insurance would have a loan provision that would pay the premium, and then interest would accrue on that loan.
Now, aside from your work in terms of preparing the annual gift tax return, what, if any, other work did you do that related to the irrevocable life insurance trust?
Just, putting together the numbers and then preparing the tax return. That was it.
How often would you work on that?
Well, in the more recent years, it was almost annually pretty much that I would do it. Except if Keith reached out and wanted it done sooner.
Okay. And you indicated earlier that you would go to the office, I think you said monthly?
Yes.
Okay. And when you went to the office monthly, your work would involve other things?
Not that. It was the other things, right?
Now, I want to draw your attention back to the beginning of about 2017. During that time, what, if any, issues did you become aware of with regard to the irrevocable life insurance trust?
That the money was going in, but the premiums were not being paid.
Okay. And did you or Keith ever look into that together?
Yes, I first reached out to Paul, and then eventually through Keith, I found that they weren't being paid.
When you reached out to Paul, do you recall what, if anything, he had said?
I never got an answer.
Okay. Now, moving forward to April of 2018, what, if any, issues arose with respect to the irrevocable life insurance trust?
Well, in what regard? They fell behind in the premiums. This is April you're talking about?
Yes, I'm going to draw your attention to April of 2018. What, if any, issues arose at that time with regard to the irrevocable life
I
insurance?
believe it was found out through Keith as well and Paul that the monies weren't going to pay the premiums, but in essence, Paul said that for some reason the monies weren't going. They were being used for another reason, and then I found out that he said he was going to pay that money back.
Okay. Without telling me anything that Keith may have said to you, because it's hearsay, did you have a conversation with just Keith about this situation?
Yes,
What was his demeanor like?
he was very upset about it, disappointed.
Do you recall being copied on any emails from Paul during that time frame of
The other emails, yes.
April of 2018?
Yeah.
May I approach?
You can.
Showing you what's been marked as S11 for identification. Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
And what is this?
These were the payments that didn't go to the premiums, but were paid to school.
Okay, but what is this generally speaking? Like, is this an email? Is it something else? What is this?
This is an email
And who is it from?
from Paul.
What is the date?
It's April 11, 2018.
The time?
11:01 a.m.
And who is it to?
Keith,
And who is copied?
Ron Artigis, and myself.
And what is the subject of that?
Where did the money go?
Its subject line says what?
Trust reconciliation. Yes.
Judge, permission to publish?
Good.
Yes.
Anna, can we have the back table? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Weinstein, do you see that on your screen? Do you see the email on your screen there? Okay, is that essentially the same email that I just showed you
Yes,
that's
it
been
is.
marked as S11?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, and let's just start at the top there. Can you read that for us?
To all? Read the,
Yes.
I had selected the wrong bill pay, some of the payments for 2017 and 2018. They went to a school loan, and no, I don't know. The total amount that was paid out of the trust account to the wrong payee was $25,054.77. With interest, I calculated, gets cut off. Send this amount directly to the principal as soon as the money hits my account. Please double check these numbers and let me know if they match up with your numbers.
Just gonna scroll down a little bit.
So I did some calculations also.
Okay, and what are we looking at down here?
The amounts that were paid to the trust in 17 and 18, there was a number of 38,380, but for some reason I calculated 34,209, probably from the bank statement somehow.
Are those your markings on there?
Those are my handwriting.
Okay.
Yes.
So was this an email that you received?
Yes.
Okay, ultimately, did you turn this email over to law enforcement during the investigation?
Yes, it was requested.
Okay, and let's just go down a little bit. What else does it say there?
So these are all the amounts, and it says, sorry for all of the confusion. I've had my head up blank. Paul Caneiro.
Okay.
Sir, you can say what it said.
S. Sorry for all the confusion. I've had my head up my ass. Paul Caneiro.
And when did you put the markings on each one of the,
Sorry, Judge.
go ahead.
Once I received the email, I went through the numbers.
Okay, so it was back then?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Wallace?
Thank you, Judge. We can take this one. Do you recall receiving that email?
Yes.
Earlier, we had discussed how you would receive the TD Trust bank statements from Paul Caneiro. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you receive any TD Trust bank statements from him for the year 2018?
I believe through September.
Okay, so should ask you, tell us the months of 2018 that you received.
I received January, all the months from January through September of 18.
Okay. And did you ultimately provide those bank statements to anyone during the course of the pending investigation?
Well, I did. I sent them to Keith by email.
Okay.
Or forwarded it to him, however I did it at the time. And then this investigation they were requesting.
Okay, and specifically, we'll talk about both of those, but did you provide them to somebody named Detective Bassender from the prosecutor's office?
Yes.
Okay. And you also indicated you forwarded them to Keith?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall the time frame that you forwarded them to him?
Well, if it was through September, it would have been probably getting them, probably November.
Okay. And what about October through the end of the year? Did you ever
I
receive?
never received any more.
Okay.
Not that I recollect.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as S12. Do you recognize these?
Yes, these are the bank statements that I received for the irrevocable trust.
Okay. And do these go from January to September? I'll let you look at them.
Through September, yes.
Through September,
Yes.
okay. Do you recall how you received those from Mr. Caneiro?
Email.
Okay. Judge, permission to publish S12.
You can.
Here we go. Weinstein, on your screen, do you have these in front of you?
Yes, I
These-
do.
Okay. Let's just look at the first page here. What is there on the top where it says ATF Keith Caneiro?
Irrevocable trust agreement, Keith Caneiro grantor, Paul Caneiro trustee.
Okay. And if we can just look at the first page there, the statement period, do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, and what is the date there?
January 1st through January 31st of 18.
Okay. And then just going down here, we're looking at, so it looks like January 2nd, and then it goes through January 31st. Do you see that?
Yes,
Okay, and there's a check mark on this?
yes.
Okay, did you put some markings on
That
these?
must have been my check mark, yes.
Okay, do you recall when you did that?
When I got all the statements at one time and I was going through them, yes.
All right, let's look at the first page where it says transaction date, January 2nd. Do you see that?
Yes,
Okay. And it has up at the top either debit, credit, and then it would have the balance, right?
correct.
Okay, January 2nd, do you see a debit there?
There's a debit for $1,000.
Okay, and do you see where that's going to?
I don't know the number, but yes, there's an account number or whatever there.
Are the last four digits 3837?
Yes,
Okay, and then you see some credits, right?
yes.
Okay, and where are all those credits from?
Coming from payroll, either from J. Martin Consulting, which was Square One, or Echo Pest Control.
So are these essentially, where we see the credits, is that the payroll that's coming from Keith Caneiro's?
Yes, it would have been, yes.
Now, you see a couple of more debits on this page for January, is that right?
Yes,
Okay, so I'm going to draw your attention to January 10th, do you see that?
yes.
Okay, and that's how much?
$500.
And then January 22nd?
$2,500.
Okay, and then it indicates that it's being transferred to where?
3837.
Okay. If we can go to the next date, which would be February. And I'm not going to make you go through every single one of these again, but I just want to ask you a couple questions. Now, we're looking at February here, and we see some red markings. Do you see that?
Yes,
Whose markings are those?
those would have been my markings.
Okay, and do you recall what you were doing with those markings?
Trying to check from where it was coming from and where it was going, and then I probably did some type of a reconciliation of the account to make sure it all equaled.
Okay, and then I'm going to draw your attention to February 5th there. Do you see a debit?
$2,200.
And where is that going to?
3837.
Okay. And then do you also see some money coming in from the EcoStar and J. Martin companies?
Yes, through the payroll. Yes.
Let's go to the next pay period of March 1st through the 31st. Okay. And again, do you see those red checks there, or
Yes.
those red marks?
Yes.
Okay. And here there are no debits,
No
right?
debits at all.
Let's go to April.
In April, there were all those credits, and then on April 9th, there was a debit for $8,500 to Canada Life.
Okay, now that goes to Canada Life. And is there a check number under there?
There's a check number, yes.
Okay, specifically 99502.
995002, correct.
Now, was that something that you would commonly see? Sometimes you would see monies going to Canada Life?
Yes.
And what was your understanding of what that
Well,
was for?
I mean, because they had fallen behind with the premiums, it wouldn't be a premium payment, so I think, I kind of remember the premium payments being like $7,800 something a quarter. But if it was $8,500, one of the goals Keith was trying to do is to pay down the loan and the interest, so it would be more than that amount.
Understood. Let's move on now to May 1st through May 31st.
Yes.
Do you see that?
Yes. May
Okay.
1st, $5,000 Canada Life Insurance Company.
Let's stay on that date for a second. So you see May 1st, $5,000 to Canada Life Insurance Company.
Yes.
What's missing under there?
I don't see that check number.
Okay. Let's move on to June.
Here again, in June, a lot of the credits from the payroll, and then on June 18th, there was a payment to Canada Life Assurance for $7,500, and again, there's no check number on there.
Okay. Now, aside from me bringing your attention to that right now. Was that something that you noticed back then?
I noticed Canada Life, that was my goal.
Let's move on to July. I want to draw your attention to July 16th. What do you see there?
$4,500 to Canada Life Assurance Company.
Okay, again, is there a check number?
No.
Let's move on to August. What are we looking at?
August,
hold on one second,
sorry.
question. I'm going to draw your attention to August 3rd. What do you see there?
$4,000 to Canada Life Assurance Company. No check number.
How about August 18th?
Actually, it's August 17th.
I'm sorry, 17th.
$2,500 Canada Life Assurance Company.
No check number?
No check number.
How about August 28th?
Canada Life Assurance Company, no check number for $1,000.
Let's move on now, if we could scroll to September, please. I'm going to draw your attention to September 4th.
$1,000 to Canada Life Assurance Company, no check number.
And how about September 4th again?
$300 to Canada Life Assurance Company,
No check number?
no check number.
How about, I'm going to draw your attention to September 7th. What are we looking at here?
Canada Life, debit for Canada Life Assurance Company, $1,000, no check number.
And I'm going to draw your attention to 9/17. What are we looking at there?
$1,300 to Canada Life Assurance Company with no check number.
All right, let's move on to October, please. Oh, I'm sorry, there is no October. That's right. My mistake. Okay, because you never got October, right?
Never got it, never received it. Excuse me.
Mr. Weinstein, you indicated that you would do Keith and Paul's and the family's personal tax returns, I think?
Yes.
Okay. During your employment, did Paul Caneiro ever disclose or notify you of any fees that he was taking from the trust account as the trustee for tax purposes?
No,
Now, if he was taking a fee, would that be considered taxable income?
that would have been taxable income.
When was the last time you spoke to Keith Caneiro?
It was, I believe, the Tuesday night before his death.
Would it have been November 19th?
Yes.
How did you speak to him?
He would email me, we spoke by phone, we must have spoke at least 3 times on the phone that afternoon into the evening.
Without telling us anything that was said, what was just the general topic of the conversation?
Very upset, and just wanted to do something about it.
When you say upset, what specifically though? What was
That money wasn't going to pay his life insurance again, and he was pretty upset about that.
Now, what, if anything, did you tell Keith during that conversation?
I tried to calm him down, and I tried to tell him it was late. It was like 7 o'clock in the evening. I said, let's, we'll get in touch with TD Bank tomorrow to see what's going on.
Did you ever speak with Keith
I
again?
never spoke to him again.
And why not?
He was murdered.
When did you learn of that?
That next day, which was Wednesday, I got back to my office, and I got a call from Ron Artigis. He asked me, did you hear what happened? I said no, and he told me, and I was in total shock, and then I tried to reach out to Paul to see what was going on, and never to speak to him.
Now, do you recall speaking with law enforcement in relation to this case?
Yes.
Do you recall when that was about?
So it was in January of 19.
And what, if anything, did you provide them with?
Whatever they asked for. All records from the company, trust information, anything they needed.
Okay. And did you also provide a formal statement?
Yes.
I have nothing further.
Ross?
So, Mr. Weinstein, good morning. When Ms. Wallace first began talking to you this morning, she was asking how you knew the Caneiro family.
Yes,
You've known them for a lengthy period of time.
yes.
Over 35 years, I guess. Throughout the 2000s and the 2010s, you were doing the Caneiro family's tax returns. Is that fair to say?
Yes,
And that would include Keith and his wife Jennifer, Paul and his wife Susan.
yes.
It would include Corey Caneiro,
Not here and there, not consistently, no.
sometimes.
Sometimes, yes.
You obviously knew the Caneiros up until 2018.
Yes.
Did you have contact with members? Did you have contact with members of the Caneiro family after 2018?
To some extent, yes.
Business?
I spoke to Corey a few times. Met them at the Asbury Park office to see what was going on with the business, whatever. But that was being handled by, I forget the title, the person was going to handle running the business per se. I think Caesar, the father, was supposed to be the executor, but I think it was going to be run by the attorney. That's kind of what I remember. And
You're talking about the receiver for the business.
receiver, right.
Okay.
And other than that, I spoke with Caesar. I probably did his tax return at least one other time after that. I believe I did a tax return for Corey's wife or girlfriend. I don't know. I don't remember the relationship. But
Bertacci?
yes.
Okay.
At least 1 year, maybe 2 years.
After 2018. So that would be like 2019 and 2020.
Yeah, something like that.
So Keith and Paul owned EcoStar equally, right?
At a certain point, there was someone else was a third owner, and then they were equal.
That person left sometime in the early 2010s, and then after that, Paul was a 50% owner, Keith was a 50%.
Yes.
Now, throughout the time that you were doing the taxes for the Caneiro family, you're also doing the taxes for the businesses.
Not necessarily. I believe that the receiver had an accountant.
Prior to 2018.
Oh, yes, I was. Yeah.
Prior to 2018, you were filing all the tax returns for Square One and for EcoStar.
Correct.
Now, you had access, obviously, to the people who worked at those businesses in case you needed to speak to them
Correct.
for business issues, right? One of them would be Tiffany Rivera, right? She was the
Yes.
office manager,
Yes.
and that was at the Asbury Park office.
Yes.
By the way, obviously, both Square One and EcoStar are in the same physical location, right?
Correct.
They're both in Asbury Park.
Correct.
At the same office. Now, there was another woman you mentioned during your direct testimony, Larissa.
Glorioso. Yes.
She was a bookkeeper there.
She was there for a while, but she left way before this, I believe. I don't know. I think she was there through 16 or 17. I don't remember when she left exactly.
You said that you would stop by the office about once a month,
At that point in time, yes.
and you would be there obviously to check in on
Bank reconciliations and, there were sales tax filings that needed to get done. Financially, things weren't great, so they were kind of falling behind, so we were trying to work out arrangements with New York State or New Jersey. But we would work on that. I would review the payroll and payroll taxes, correspondence, all that kind of stuff, yes.
and you'd spend probably about half a day there, I'd imagine.
Probably like that, yeah.
When you were there, that on those once a month occasions, you would see Paul there.
Not all the time, but he was there more when they were starting to look to sell EcoStar. He was there when I don't know how often he was there, except if I was there and he was there. he was working on the numbers for this potential purchase or sale of the company.
Okay. Your perspective on that time period, the sale of EcoStar, would be that Paul was trying to put numbers together, projecting that revenue in that company was going to increase.
Yes.
And therefore, the sales value, sales price of that company should also increase.
Possibly, yes.
And Paul wanted to wait on that increase in revenue so that they
That's
could
what
get
he's-
a bigger sales price,
He
right?
thought they could do better than 850, correct.
And those were based on some of the numbers and the projections he was putting together.
Correct.
You saw his projections and his numbers, right? At the time.
You have to say yes or no.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
And, you agreed with Paul.
I don't know if I agreed or disagreed. It was a question of, at the time, 850 was, to me, an amazing number that this company could get. That Terminix wanted it, and from what I understood from other information, was that they were looking to buy up a lot of small companies. So my feeling was, it's not really a question of agreeing or disagreeing. My feeling was, you got this number, maybe they're going to go somewhere else. Take the money and move ahead. Who knows if they'll go to another company and offer them the 850. So that's just my feeling.
Sure.
So it's not a question of agreeing. It could have gone up, but as what happened in my discussion, they took the offer off the table, and at one point it went down to 750. So that was my feeling.
Well,
It's not right or wrong. It's just
I think it's this, though, and tell me if I'm wrong. This wasn't just a conversation that you and Keith and Paul were having in 1 or 2 days in November. This conversation had been going on
for a few months.
for months,
A
right?
few months, not a lot of months. A few months.
And in August of 2018, you're talking to Paul and to Keith, and you're saying that in terms of the offer going up, you're telling Keith that time is on your side.
I don't know.
Are you not? You don't remember? Can I
Yeah,
show you something?
yeah,
to maybe
remind me.
help you? Judge, I'm going to approach with D10.
D10.
Show you this. So this is an email, okay? And I'm just going to direct your attention to who it's from,
Okay.
who it's to.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah, sure. I remember this. Yes.
So,
I mean, you always keep things close to the vest when you're making a deal. I mean, that's
sure.
You don't tell somebody what the price is going to be because that's the price.
Right. And you're saying in this, we figure that time's on our side. Company keeps improving in the right direction, and the price we don't...
But then they came back at 750, so maybe time wasn't on our side.
This is August 28th of 2018,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. You just showed him a document. He hasn't identified it. I don't know what it is. I don't know who the to and from are. I don't know what you started reading from it. I need more information from that before we continue.
This is an email from Steve Weinstein to Keith Caneiro, dated August 28th, 2018, at 3:41 and 16 seconds in the afternoon.
What was the date?
August 28th, 2018.
And you're saying you remember that?
I mean, now that I see it, I remember, but I don't remember that.
All right. Go ahead. Now you can continue. Now I understand what you're talking about.
Thank you.
And I hope jurors understand where we are? Okay, great.
So-
Go ahead.
Should I speak?
Why don't I ask a
Oh, I'm
question?
sorry.
and we'll- Okay, that's fine. Then, actually, right above that, in this same document, we see that Keith responds
Yes.
to you.
Should I read it?
Well, do you remember what he told you?
I don't remember that until I read this now. I didn't remember that.
Okay. Well, then I would ask you to read it to yourself then.
Can we be heard at sidebar, please?
You can. Sir, don't say anything. Can
I apologize. So, you did have a chance to read the rest of this document,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Now, without telling us what was said by anybody other than yourself, okay? This is a back and forth email between you and Keith about the potential sale of EcoStar, right? And
Correct.
specifically, we're talking about August of 2018.
Correct.
And this is several months before the November conversation that you testified with the prosecutor about, right?
August, yes, same year, yes.
And so, and obviously, your impression of this conversation, this is back in August, is that it's not just Paul at that point in time who's hopeful for a higher number. It's you, too, right? And it's Keith, too.
Yes.
And is it fair to say that you had other communications with Keith and with Paul on the issue of the sale between August and November?
It's fair to say I don't remember them, but it's fair to
Okay.
say.
Just to refresh your recollection on that issue, Judge, I would like to approach with D5.
D5? Okay.
And just for record purposes, this is an email, right? Is that yes?
Say yes or no?
Yes, sorry.
And is it an email from Keith Caneiro?
Keith to me.
Okay. And the date of this is September 13th of 2018?
Correct.
Okay. Could I just have you read this to yourself?
To myself.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. One point of being here that there were additional conversations that you and Keith had about this sale between August and November, right? Is that yes?
Yes.
And those conversations were not definitively about Keith accepting an offer of $850,000.
Well, based on that email I just read, no. It's just conceptually thinking about it, planning ahead, strategizing.
Okay. Keith is thinking he might accept that offer,
Correct.
but he's not saying. In the November email that the prosecutor showed you, Keith is saying, "Let's do it." Right?
Correct.
But prior to then, those statements like that were not being made by Keith. Fair to say?
Fair to say.
Okay. Because everybody is considering what their options are, right?
Of course, yes.
And that would only make sense for everybody to do, right?
Correct.
But when we get to November, Keith is concerned that his contract with the Duke estate might not renew.
Correct.
And that's when Keith is really motivated to sell EcoStar.
Correct.
And that's when he's on board to take the price of $750 that they're offering.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that. Is it in it? I know they dropped the price to $750.
But EcoStar was a 50-50 company between Keith and Paul, like you said.
Correct.
And that means that Keith and Paul are both going to have to be on board with a sale,
Of course.
in order for it to take place.
Correct.
Paul, you saw in that email the prosecutor showed you, they come back at $750, you say this is a tremendous offer. Paul says they said $850.
No, I think I said $850 was a tremendous offer. And when we held up, then it became $750.
Could I have your list? Okay. I'm sorry, so this is S10. This is you
I
saying,
guess we gotta start hearing. They said $850. Want me to respond to them?
You guys can't have a conversation
I'm not,
amongst
I'm just
yourselves.
being talked to myself. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right.
I think it's based on the $850. Sorry, it's confusing emails.
okay, but anyway, the point is, they come back, right? Keith wants to take the offer, right? And Paul says, they said $850, right?
Correct.
Meaning, they're not offering $850 now. They said $850,
Correct.
right? Meaning also that Keith wanted to take the $750 at that point in time.
Maybe, I don't remember that, but possibly.
Okay. Judge, could I just approach with S9?
Sure.
You gave a statement to the state, right? You gave a statement to the police about this case,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
And you know that that was documented?
Okay.
Okay.
yes.
So I'm going to show you this. This is S9. It says Statement of Stephen Weinstein at the top.
Correct.
Okay. I'll just have you flip through this and see if you recognize it.
Oh, about the $850?
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. But just take a look at the last page.
Oh, that's-
See your signature on that?
Yes.
Okay. So flip back, if you could, to page 4.
Sir, what's the date of the statement?
This is January 24th, 2019.
Yeah.
How many pages is the statement, sir?
The page,
Let him answer.
9 pages.
And did you sign the last page?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you recognize it?
I recognize my signature, yes.
Do you recognize the entire document?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
Because I remember these words and I remember... I remember...
So is that the statement you gave to the police?
Yes.
Any doubt in your mind?
No.
Okay, now go ahead, whatever page you want, Mr. Murray.
okay. So now that you've read that, the detective asked you, can you tell us who the offer was from and how much it was for? And that's on line 22 of page 4. You see that, right?
It's page 4. Oh. Yes,
Okay. And then you answer that question on line 24 of the same page.
correct.
Right? And your answer is, the offer was for roughly $850,000.
Correct.
But that was reduced to $750,000 by Terminus.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, the prosecutor asked you before about Keith going back to school.
Correct.
I would be correct to say, though, that wherever Keith was, when you would go to the office, the Asbury Park office on a monthly basis,
Yes,
Keith would not be there.
correct.
He was never there when you were there.
I would never say never, but not a lot of times when I was there. Correct.
You would see Paul far more often than you would see Keith.
More often than Keith, correct.
Okay. So, the trust account that you testified about,
Yes.
you would have to prepare the estate and gift tax forms for that account potentially every year,
Potentially, yes.
depending on whether there were contributions, I guess, above a certain...
Exceeding that amount for that year. I don't remember what it was. It's probably around $10,000 or $11,000.
In order to do that, you would need documents about the trust account.
Correct.
And you received those, you said initially, from going to Square One physically,
Correct.
and then later by getting them from Paul.
Correct.
When the prosecutor showed you those documents before with your check marks on them,
Yes.
those were bank records, right?
Correct.
And they were the bank records from the trust account.
Correct.
And those were records that you had reconciled.
Correct.
And this is something that you had done for years at that point. Certainly since 2010 until 2017, you were engaged in that activity, right?
Correct.
What we saw in those records were debits from the trust account to an account that you said you didn't know what it was, but the last four numbers were 3837.
Correct.
Right. Now, those debits would have been on those records when you originally reconciled, right?
Correct.
And you were aware then that in these prior years, in 2013, 14, 15, 16, that there were debits on the trust account
Correct.
that were not going to the insurance company,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
I mean, that's,
Correct.
is that fair to say?
Fair to say.
So, in all these prior years, by having access to these trust account documents, you could see that there was money leaving the trust account, going into an account that you didn't know, right?
At the time, correct.
But that wasn't the Canada Life policy.
Correct.
in prior years as well, not only were there debits from the trust account to an account ending in 3837, there were also debits to an account ending 1361. Do you recall that?
Now that you tell me, but I don't remember.
I would like to show you the document and see if you recognize it. Judge, this is D32.
D32, okay.
This is an email, okay? This email, we'll just go to the top, okay? Sure, go ahead. Does it appear to be at the top from Keith Caneiro?
Yes,
Does it appear to be to you?
yes,
Does it appear to be dated May 11th, 2017?
yes.
Flipping through, oh, I should ask you, do you have an independent recollection of receiving that particular email?
I don't.
Okay. I just want you to flip through to page 3, okay? And you can just look at that yourself and flip through page 3 and 4 of that document and tell me if you've seen that before.
Don't remember ever seeing this. I don't. I do not remember seeing this. I might have, but I don't remember right now.
Okay. Do you have any reason to dispute the fact that this email was sent to you?
No reason to dispute it.
Do you have any reason to dispute the fact that when this email was sent to you, it contained an attachment?
Okay, yes, I don't remember, but no reason to dispute.
Do you have any reason, then, to dispute the fact that in years prior to 2018, withdrawals from that trust account were made not just to an account ending 3837, but to other bank accounts as well?
Possibly. Well, you just showed me that, so I'd have to say yes, but I don't remember that.
You don't remember?
Correct.
Do you remember an account, the last 4 numbers of which are 1361, that you encountered in any of your dealings with Square One or the Caneiros?
You asked me for 4 digits of an account number? I mean, that's pretty difficult. And you're talking about 7, 8 years later? It kind of sounds familiar, but I can't remember that.
Okay. If you were to see a record connected with that account, could you tell me, would it refresh your recollection as to whether you handled that in some capacity in the past?
Yes.
Okay. This is D33,
D33, okay.
and this is a TD Bank record.
May I just see that, please?
Yeah, sure.
company account. You want me to see the debit or credit on it?
No,
Okay.
I'm just asking you to see if
Okay,
you
yes.
recognize the account
So
itself.
it's J. Martin Systems before they closed it in 14.
Okay. So this is an old operating account for Square One.
Okay,
Is that fair?
that's fair.
And it ends, this account number ends in 1361.
Correct.
And this is a closed account, but you don't know when it closed.
When the company closed, I don't remember. I don't remember now when J. Martin Systems was dissolved, but that company was closed, correct?
But this particular account, you don't know when this account was closed.
No.
If there were withdrawals from the trust account to the company account in prior years, we imagine that those would have been available for you to see when you did the trust reconciliation.
Correct.
And obviously, if you saw those and didn't mention anything to Keith about them, tell me if I'm wrong, I'd imagine that would either be because you didn't notice them, or because if you did, you didn't think that they were a big deal.
No, everything's a big deal, but right now, you're pulling things out of context, and I don't know the actions I would have taken back then on these items. I would have definitely not classified them as payments to the Canada Life Company, and I might have spoken to Paul, I might have spoken to Keith. I don't remember what I did at this point. That's 2014, for example. And I also, as I said earlier, when things were not financially in good shape as they were, the premiums were not getting paid, and money was going from all the different companies to cover things. So I don't remember the actions that I would have taken. So nothing is unimportant, but now it's out of context, I can't remember.
Okay, well, you bring up a good point. So let's take a step back. You said money was going different places from the two companies
Transfers,
back and
correct.
forth, right? It wasn't just from the companies, though, either. It was, money was coming from Keith's personal account into the company, right? And coming from the company into Keith's personal account.
What time frame are we talking?
This is, I would say, and I'll ask the witness, Judge, but I would imagine this is really throughout the 2010s that this is going on.
Could I respond?
Yes.
Okay, so as I said earlier, and there was an email from Keith regarding the sale of EchoStar or whatever, in the email, Keith even discussed that...
Hold on, sir, don't say what Keith said in that email.
I'm sorry, the email, when I read the email.
Okay, but I don't want you to say what Keith said in the email, that's hearsay. But
There was a knowledge-
you're trying, hold on.
I'm sorry.
I want you to illustrate your point and respond, but just be careful in what you say, if you don't mind, please. Thank you, sir.
There was an understanding that there was factually an understanding that there were loans from officers or shareholders on the books. Everybody understood that.
Sure. Well, we should probably explain that, though. So a loan from an officer on the books means that, for our purposes, Paul and/or Keith had given money to the company,
Possibly, yes.
and on the books, that was a liability for the company.
Correct.
And you actually did prepare documents to demonstrate the company's assets and liabilities throughout your involvement with them, correct? And those you did, those are balance sheets, they're called?
Well, after a while, I just prepared tax returns, but earlier years, I would prepare some compilation financial statements. Yes.
Okay. So, but you had mentioned money going back and forth, so I just want to get back there for a second. Keith would put money into the company, Keith would take money out of the company, correct?
Correct.
And that would happen throughout the 2010s, that was going on,
Correct.
right? Paul would put money in the company, Paul would take money out of the company.
Correct.
That would happen throughout the 2010s,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Keith would use the company to pay for certain personal expenses, and he would then put the money back into the company later, correct? Keith had the company pay for his tuition to go back to school, right?
Correct.
There was, on the balance sheets that you prepared, there was a company credit card through American Express you had to keep track of, right?
The bookkeeping department did, yes.
The bills on that were quite large.
Correct.
You had to factor those into the balance sheets and whatnot that you put together, right?
Correct, yes.
And you would see the statements from the credit card, from the American Express account, right?
Yes.
And you knew that the credit card there were open accounts within it, not just for Keith and Paul, but for Jennifer as well.
That I don't remember, but they had their credit cards all together, yes.
And so basically, and also there was money in terms of 401k loans
Yes.
that Keith had taken, right?
I don't remember, possibly. When things were slow, that might have happened, yes.
Okay. So, how much, if you recall, was Keith owed by the company, and how much was Paul owed by the company?
I have absolutely no idea at this point in time.
If I were to show you a balance sheet that you prepared from November 30th of 2016, would you be able to tell me if you prepared it?
Yes.
Judge, this is D35.
D35? Okay, thank you.
Just to start, is there a cover letter on the front of that?
This is not, I did not prepare this. This is from their internal books.
I see. Could you flip back to the first page?
Yes.
Is that your letterhead?
This I got from the company books, yes.
Okay.
And all I said on here is, can I read this, Judge?
I don't know what it says. Prosecutor, have you even seen the document yet?
No, if I could just take a quick look.
Do you have an objection to him reading the front page?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, you can. You can read it once you have it back.
Okay. Please be advised that EchoStar Pest Management and J. Martin Consulting Square One are affiliated under Section 414 of the IRS Code under subsection BC, M, or O. Thank you. And this was to, I don't remember the year now, but this had to do with the retirement plan. But I did not prepare that financial statement. That's from the books, from their QuickBooks Online at the office.
Okay. Which you had
I don't even know if I attached it to this. I really don't know at this point.
You don't know how this got
I
attached?
prepared the letter, but I don't remember.
Okay. So if I'm
And
understanding...
the purpose of the letter was because all the employees would have to be covered by a retirement plan. That's why I mentioned it.
Right. So I guess my understanding I'm getting from you right now is you don't know how this letter with your letterhead got attached to these documents.
I don't remember. The only thing I could say is that at one point in time, as was asked previously, Paychex handled the retirement plan, and then for a couple of years or so, they switched to another company to handle the retirement plan. So it would make sense to me, they needed to know this, so they would know that EchoStar and J. Martin Consulting employees would all have to be covered. So I was asked to then put that letter. I don't even remember being asked. I don't remember doing it, but that's my letter.
Okay. Though you didn't prepare this document that's attached to the letter, you recognize it as an internal company document from Square One.
Correct.
And you recognize it being from their QuickBooks.
QuickBooks Online, and I don't even understand why that had to be attached to that letter if it was going to a retirement company, so I really can't help more than that.
I understand. What I'm trying to find out more, okay, is not why it's attached to the letter. It's more, given your knowledge that this came from the Square One QuickBooks, which you had access to, by the way,
Yes.
and could review regularly, right?
When I visited, yes.
Right. Given your knowledge that this is a document from that location, would you be able to verify the accuracy of a line item in this if I were to show it to you?
Yes.
Okay. This is page 2, okay? I'm sorry, page 3 of D35.
No, this is two.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is page 3. Sorry.
Page 3. That's okay. That's okay. Just going to ask you to look towards the line.
Yes. There were 2 loans payable for Keith and Paul.
Okay. What was the loan payable to Paul?
At the time, the loan payable to Paul, and I probably would have to have made an adjustment for this $32,000. But on here, the loan payable to Paul was $179,285.34.
Okay. And the loan payable to Keith?
At the time was $118,690.92.
Okay. Thanks.
What does loan payable mean?
It means that they either put money in directly into the company or may have paid expenses on behalf of the company, and that money would be owed back to them at that point in time.
Can you see from the sheets what they were for? How they paid it in?
I'd have to go back and look, because there were various, they might have paid money on behalf of the company for computer equipment and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, I just want to make sure that the jurors understand what that money was. Go ahead.
So, what this is going to show is, aside from the monetary amounts, right, is that both Paul and Keith are taking their money and putting it into the company.
Yes, correct.
Right? And the purpose of that could be to fund payroll in a given week, right?
Correct.
It could be for the purchase of office supplies.
Correct.
It could be for any number of things. But
Yes.
the point is that when they transfer the personal money into the business, it's for the purpose of the business. Fair to say?
Correct. Correct. Excuse me.
The other thing that we can see is what is a reflection of what you just testified to about D35 is that as it pertains to D35, Paul is owed more than Keith is.
Yes, at that point in time, yes.
So at this point in time, the indication would be that Paul has put more money in than Keith and gotten less money back, right?
Well, I don't know at the end. I don't know about getting less money back. I know at that point his loan was larger than Keith's.
Because he had put more money in.
Correct.
At that point in time. Okay. And that was $179,000. Over the years, did you would have interactions with Tiffany Rivera?
Correct.
Okay. You had a chance to speak with her, obviously, in person, correct? She would also maybe communicate with you in writing from time to time?
I remember in the early years, I wasn't a big email person, so I don't know about email. When you say, I guess writing, you mean emails. Maybe some, but maybe she'd call me.
Okay. You've obviously seen a ton of Square One and EcoStar documents throughout the time that you were providing accounting services to them, right?
Correct.
And those documents would include not just, financial records, but sometimes lists of transfers between companies and things like that, right?
Yes, I believe so.
And Tiffany might have written something in pen on some of those documents.
Maybe, yes.
You had an opportunity to observe her handwriting over those years. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Your impression was that the checks were sent from the trust account to the insurance company how?
But so ask that question again.
How did the checks, who wrote the checks for the trust to go to the insurance company?
As I said earlier also, for the most part, the procedure was to be that there would be a payroll transfer to the TD bank account. But that doesn't mean that all through the years that happened that way. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there were checks written from Square One, which I would consider like against a loan payable officer or a shareholder distribution. It all depends on the flow of money, cash flow at that time.
Okay. Let me see if I understand you. Ideally, the trust account would have regularly been funded through payroll.
Correct.
In the real world, in reality, that didn't always happen.
Correct.
Meaning that the trust, right, is responsible for making quarterly payments to the insurance company.
Correct.
But in order for the trust to do that, it's got to be adequately funded.
Correct.
And you're asserting that because of other business needs over the years, that trust account may not always have been adequately funded.
Correct. And that's why the loan started many years ago.
Okay. So your understanding of the start of the loan is not...
Let me just clarify.
Yes.
I meant the loan provision in the insurance that started because there was not enough funding and paying of the premiums.
Right. So premiums aren't paid on the insurance policy. That gets converted to a loan against the policy, that would need to be paid back before money is applied to premiums again. That's your understanding?
I didn't know the actual details or logistics, but I would think that you could do them simultaneously. You could pay a current premium and pay back a loan and the interest as well. You didn't only have to, you weren't not allowed or restricted from paying a current premium until you paid the loan back.
In either case, though, your understanding is because the trust account hadn't been adequately funded in prior years, payments couldn't be made to the insurance policy.
Correct.
And because those payments couldn't be made to the insurance policy, those got converted into a loan on that policy itself.
Correct.
Okay. Very mechanically speaking, okay, in terms of the money actually just getting to the insurance company, that would come primarily, I'd imagine, from the trust account.
Correct.
Would that be done by paper check? Would that be electronic wire?
It could be either way. I don't, in the most recent years, I think it was a check, but I didn't write out I only got the bank statements, and I don't remember all the checks per se. But it could have been electronically done as well. But I didn't set that up, so I don't know for sure at this moment in time.
Okay. Do you know who wrote the checks from the trust account to
Well,
the insurance?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Okay. Do you?
I would presume it was the trustee, but I don't know. The trustee handling the account.
Okay. So without specific information, you would presume in the abstract that it was the trustee, meaning you'd presume in the abstract that it was Paul.
Correct.
But you don't have specific information to show that it actually was Paul.
Correct.
I think I understand. This is S50, Judge.
S50 or D50?
S.
S50.
Yeah.
Okay.
Showing you S50. This is a one-page document. Okay.
Yes.
Do you recognize that as a check from the
Yes.
Keith Caneiro irrevocable trust account?
Yes.
Okay. Is it dated?
December 27, 2016.
Okay. And it's not an electronic check, right? It's
No,
a handwritten check?
Handwritten check
Okay.
for the quarterly premium.
Okay. Do you recognize the handwriting?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was Paul or somebody else's. I don't remember.
You don't recognize his handwriting then?
I don't remember his signature, so it
Well-
looks like it could be Paul because that looks like a P.
The filling out of the check, I'd ask you to take a look at. The payee,
Canada Life.
do you recognize the handwriting of the person who wrote that?
It's not me. I don't remember.
You don't know?
No.
Okay, that's fine. Now, you mentioned speaking to Keith on the evening of November 19th,
Yes.
2018. And Keith was very angry that night.
Very upset, yes.
Right. You told him to try to calm down and to get some sleep, right?
Yes.
And told him, basically, we can handle this in the morning, right?
We should look into this in the tomorrow.
In April, when the issue arose with the payments from the trust to the student loans that you testified about, right? Keith
Yes.
Keith was upset then too.
Correct.
And in fact, in your statement to the police, you said at that time that Keith was overly upset with everyone,
Correct.
not just with Paul.
Correct.
Because everyone would include yourself?
Possibly.
Okay. Well, I'm asking, when you said everyone, what you meant.
When I said everyone in my statement,
When
it's
you said-
everybody in the bookkeeping department.
And Keith obviously was upset, but he then calmed down, right?
Well, I only know the conversation I had with him. I don't know behind the scenes how we fared after that.
Okay. At least as far as you could tell, Keith calmed down. What I'm asking you
Is
is,
there an answer to that? I don't,
I answered. I said, I don't know after I spoke to him if he
right,
actually calmed down.
so when he just said to you that, so Keith calmed down, that's not what you're saying,
I'm not saying he did. I don't know.
right?
in your statement, you're talking about March and April of 2018.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. And you agreed that you told the police that Keith at that point in time was overly upset with everyone about what was going on with the trust,
Yes.
right? And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I'm just trying to read what you said, okay?
Yes.
And when you said everyone, you meant not just Paul, but multiple people,
Well,
right?
Yes.
Okay.
He was venting to me about everybody, yes.
And at that point in time, in April, Keith wanted to remove Paul as the trustee.
Correct.
But then months go by
Correct.
and nothing changed,
Correct.
right? Paul was still the trustee.
Yes.
Keith obviously is well aware of that fact, right?
Yes.
And Keith never provided you with any documents that you would need to fill out for a change of trustee, right?
I wouldn't be anyone to fill out any documents, no.
You never provided him with the information for how to do that, right?
I wouldn't, that's not something that I handle, no.
So, as you say in your statement, months later and nothing changed, right?
Correct.
Paul, after April, wasn't replaced as the trustee.
Correct.
And after April, when Keith was overly upset with everybody, we fast forward a couple of months, and you and Paul and he are all involved in these ongoing discussions about the sale of EcoStar.
Correct.
Right? And Paul's the one who's putting the numbers together for that proposed sale, right?
Correct.
And Keith is relying on Paul's numbers.
Correct.
And Paul's numbers are the basis of those ongoing negotiations,
Yes.
right? So Keith at this point in time is obviously, and Paul's expressing, we saw today, points in time, the opinion that it's better to wait, right?
Yes.
And Paul is using his numbers as the basis for that opinion,
Yes.
correct? And Keith is relying on those numbers in terms of what his perception of what he should do is, right?
Yes.
And when that really changes is after the meeting that he had with the Duke estate about continuing the Square One contract.
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
All right, we're gonna stop right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take our lunch break right now. I just want to remind you, you don't have to discuss this case. We're not going to look at anything on the internet.